Hey, thanks for joining us here for another episode of Appalachian Shine. This is the official podcast for the Foundation for Appalachian Advancement. We do have a lot going on in the next week ahead. Some very important events that are coming up that people around the area need to know about and support that is in so much support of our regional and local history. And on this episode, we're honored to have Erica Hall from the Tazewell County Public Library and Amity Lane. And you folks are with the Friends of the Library community. I get mail and email from you guys all the time. So you guys are doing great work. You're having what's called a Mad Hatter dinner next week. I want to toss this out to whichever one of you wants to start. Tell us what the Mad Hatter dinner is and what the purpose of this dinner is.
Amity, you want to take it? Or I can.
I can. It doesn't matter.
You go for it, Amity.
Basically, the dinner will be our first fall fundraising effort, and it will kickstart our phase 1, 2, and 3 of the makeover for the Richlands Library Restoration and Revitalization Project. And our committee has come together with an idea to turn Suffolk Avenue into a wonderland. And we can all look through the looking glass or hop down the rabbit hole, and we can have a Mad Hatter dinner with all the characters. We're looking forward to a beer and wine garden. We have a fabulous meal prepared by Jody Hazelwood. And Jody's going to have our main course with some barbecue and some topsy-turvy taters. It should be wonderful with Alice's confections. You can take it from there, Erica.
Yeah, what's the purpose of the Mad Hatter dinner? What are you guys raising money for?
So all of the proceeds from the Mad Hatter dinner are going towards the renovation of the Richlands Library. So the last time that any major renovation happened to the library was in the 1980s, when it first became a library, when it was converted from a house into our Richlands branch. So it's in need of some major renovations. Back in 2021, we underwent a feasibility study or a facility study, and our architect came up with some suggestions of ways that we could make the building much more usable, especially to people who might not be able to navigate stairs, who might need to use an elevator. There are 4 floors of the Williams house that the Richlands branch is in. There are 4 different floors and no elevator. So if you're someone who uses a wheelchair, you can only access the main floor. And I think that's a huge problem.
Also, it is. Yeah, yes. For elderly people too.
Yes.
Because I remember my first experience, and Amity and I, we graduated high school together. So when we were probably little, we probably bumped into each other plenty of times going into the library because I was just like, I had both your parents as teachers, and so it was just kind of like beat into us to love books and love reading. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the Williams house, as it's called, is kind of like the lifeblood, like the center and the heart and soul of the entire history of Richlands, that you'd have such an immaculate building that was bequeathed to the town to do this for the library is really an amazing thing. And it really has needed renovations for a long time. I remember I don't know, Amity, can you remember when the first time you went in, the smells of just like the wood and like everything was so redone and like it just polished. And you're like, wow, I just stepped back into some Victorian era home, really, which was, I guess, the style.
The staircase and the banister.
Yes.
It's so cool, like all the creaky wood, the stairs and everything. It really has a lot of atmosphere in there.
Oh, it really does. And just as a side, I'll just toss this out here real quick. I always forgot that I did this, but my very first novel that I ever wrote was a horror novel, and it took place in Cincinnati. But there was a scene that took place in a small town that was adjacent to it. And there was a library scene, and I modeled that entire scene, like step by step, the stairs, everything after this Williams house, the Richlands Library.
That's awesome.
Which I don't know why I've never told anyone that, but but yeah, so the first time when we were kids and going in that, it was so, it just felt like you were kind of in a museum, really.
It was a little surreal.
Yeah. And it still is to this day. And Erica, like you were saying, I guess a lot of people in town have noticed over the years, like it could use a coat of paint, it could use some things like that. And then obviously something to be more helpful for the elderly and the handicapped that still love to
Yeah.
use this place.
Yes. We've also got an addition planned on the back side of it too, because there hasn't really been a great like meeting room or conference area.
Mhm.
We have a small area on the second level where the children's collection is, but we could really use more of a like conference room type situation. So we've got an addition plan on the back side too.
I think that would, yeah, that would be very helpful because we have so many local writers around that it would be helpful to have a meeting place for folks like that, or for authors guilds, writing groups, reading groups, things like that. Because a lot of other libraries that are newer, like Abingdon, I know they have that back room there that people go and use, and they
Yeah.
bring speakers in, and then fill that room with people who've, bestsellers or pseudo bestsellers in their area or whatever that come around. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it'd be
they have
great to
room
have that
for
in
programs,
Richlands.
which is great. Yes, exactly. Our Bluefield and our Tazewell branches both have a decent sized conference room, but our Richlands branch never has. So I think that will be a great addition.
And while you're talking, I guess with the Mad Hatter dinner next week, which is like phase one, right? The raising funds. So yeah, Suffolk Avenue, which is like really a beautiful little street anyway, out of like Eisenhower's 50s, right? Eisenhower's America. What are you dressing? What are you folks dressing up as? And what is this kind of party atmosphere going to look like? And while you're doing that, I'm going to do a screen share and bring up a picture of the library and the addition that you were talking about.
Sure. So my Alice costume came in. I'm going to be Alice. I've got my little headband. I'm Alice. We have our library board chair, Regina Roberts. She's going to be the Queen of Hearts. She's got an awesome costume. Our Richlands branch manager, Jamie, is going to be the Cheshire Cat. And I know we have a Mad Hatter scheduled to appear.
That's going to be Sarah Romeo. And she's already got a fantastic costume underway. She's looking very forward to attending as a Mad Hatter.
Okay, cool.
Yes, being curiouser and curiouser. But we will also have several people just coming as their favorite literary character or literary author. I myself could not place down a single character that I loved the most. So I will just be going as myself with a vintage hat and vintage outfit.
Oh, that sounds kind of fun. Now, can you guys see the screen share that I've got up with the building? Okay, because this is the back side of the building, the addition you were talking about adding on to. And I forgot the lady's name who emailed this to me, but thank her for me.
Yes, that's our grant writer, Amanda Killen.
All right, so thanks, Amanda.
Yes,
and
thanks, Amanda.
And here's the library, another picture of the library she'd sent. Mm-hmm. And again, this is a beautiful, beautiful location. It's right at the corner of Suffolk Avenue, and right across the street from it's just like like an old building itself, but it's got little mom and pop shops all up and down. And then of course the farmers market, or what was it? Not farmers market, but Farm Bureau right there at the corner. So it's really such a beautiful location, and we were really blessed to have a family that would leave something like this for a library.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, such a long time ago. I'm going to stop the share there. There we go. So that's for those of you who don't know what the Richlands Library looks like. There you have it. Really, really an immaculate building. Now I know that it's going to take quite a bit to do all the renovations. So it's not just really like window dressing we're doing here to make it upgrade and make it look nicer. I guess you'll have quite a bit of grants, I think, already that's coming.
Yes.
What do you need from the community, folks that are coming in that over the course of time that are going to make donations to you? What kind of donations are you looking for there? Um,
Well, definitely any little bit helps. We have donation boxes set up throughout the community. Our library is located in historic Richlands, so that's where we've concentrated the majority of our donation boxes. Um, but this is helping a lot. Appalachia helps each other, and having people just be aware and talk about it, get the word out at what we need. And mostly, we need support. We need voices. We need people that are willing to stand up and say, it's time. And I think it's wonderful that people are seeing our library as a community hub. And it would be great if that happens sooner rather than later. And that's where our funding comes in. So any kind of monetary support truly does help, whether it's $5 or 500. We appreciate every bit.
yeah, and there's so much more that can be done right there in the in the library as a a centerpiece of town for people to congregate at, not just for books or ebooks or whatever they're doing there, but so many other functions. And other libraries have those opportunities, and just where we have it here in this little town for so long. But again, I'll say not every library looks as cool as ours. It really doesn't.
Definitely true.
So I would say when it comes to the eye test, we beat that. But no, I did also want to ask though, with this particular building, and it's so important to recognize and remember our history, and so much of it I think we forget, and not just Richlands, but Tazewell County itself here in southwestern Virginia has such a rich, long history. Now, this particular building you call it the Williams House, but before that, I'll just toss this out here, Erica, and then I'll let you talk a little bit about the history. But it was also known as the Clinch Valley Coal and Iron Company office, and that was actually built there and set up in I think it was 1890.
Yeah.
And it was set up as a main office for that particular company, because at the time with so much coal, they were bringing rail through here, and they thought Richlands would be what's called Little Pittsburgh. And of course, later on that decade, there was a stock market crash, and all these people sort of pulled out, and that house was still they have still operated, but that was like the first building was built that like literally everything else sort of built around, and the town of Richlands could start to form economically and develop. So I'll shut up there, and you can tell us a little bit about when the Williams took over, why it was called the Williams House, and it's old house.
Yeah, no, that was a great discussion of the beginning of the building. I know that after it stopped being the offices for Clinch Valley Coal and Iron Company, it became the home and the practice of Dr. Williams, who was also I think his wife was also related to the governor. It's a family with like lots of connections. And so Dr. Williams operated his practice there, and they also lived there. So there are lots of also fun ghost stories about the building because of that history. So in 1983, I want to say it was, the Williams family donated the house to the town of Richlands, specifically for the purpose of opening a library in Richlands, which is amazing. I think it's great that people would feel so passionate that their community should have a library to donate such a treasure towards that. And so the Richlands Friends of the Library, many of whom are still involved with this project right now, are the same people who back in the 80s worked to renovate the Williams House and to get it into shape to make it a library back then.
Amity, we were just we might have been 5 years old, 4 years old. We started seeing people start to work on that, which was really, 6, I think probably
Well, they
6.
did actually know many of the key players at that time. The McVeys, John and Jane Willis,
Yeah.
they did a wondrous thing with even getting the building to cohabitate the library.
Was Dr. Willis, was he the mayor back then as well?
Yes.
Or, okay, because I didn't know if that was if He came a little later, but he was mayor for quite a while.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So
And
tell
Dr.
us-
Willis, he's actually on our foundation board currently. So having that history and that knowledge and that background has been great for our library foundation gearing up towards this project.
yeah, and
Yeah,
I met
Regina also, Regina and Valerie Rose have also contributed a lot from their early days as friends of the library now to working on the foundation.
Can you tell us a little bit about Friends of the Library and what you do with that organization?
Well, Friends of the Library has evolved a lot, and we've become a little bit more of kind of the Band-Aid between the community and the library. Funds that aren't so much available through the foundation come from the Friends. We do a lot with programs. We like to go out to all of the festivals and represent. We like to bring awareness. We very much want to help bring the other community organizations together with the library, such as the Women's Club and the Garden Club. The Tazewell Library and the Bluefield Library, they have children's gardens, which are co-sponsored by the Garden Club. And that would be something that Richlands would be honored to do if we had the space and the availability to do so. We like to sponsor things such as the upcoming Comic-Con, which is coming up on the 22nd. We have actually our annual membership drive, and our annual meeting takes place on the 17th of this month. And we are right in the middle of the National Appreciation for the Friends Week. So the Friends of the Library have their own Appreciation Week, and that's coming up the 16th through the 22nd. And so our meeting will be at 5 o'clock on the front porch at the Tazewell Library, because we do encompass all of our branches, which is Pocahontas, Bluefield, Tazewell, and of course, my hometown, Richlands.
Yeah.
And we will also be doing a book swap this year at our annual meeting. And that will be kind of the first time we've done that. But each member is bringing 2 or 3 books that made an impact that they feel they want to share with others in the group. It will kind of expound our knowledge and hopefully introduce us to new authors, new books, or new genres. Thanks for asking about that, JC.
Yeah,
Appreciate
it's because there's so many. I don't know. I'm just a book nerd. I read 3 or 4 books at a time. I'm always juggling them around. I don't know how everybody else reads, but maybe I read like I've got ADD or something. But yeah, Eric, I want to go back to a little thing that you mentioned, and there's this book that came out many, many years ago, and this kind of relates a little bit right there to the Williams house. Back before that, actually, when it was in the hands of the company that built it and started it, and everyone knew that they called it Richlands because the coal, they thought it'd be rich lands, and with all that that Braille coming through and so forth. Well, along the Clinch, there's a lot. Back then, they knew there was a lot of minerals that could be mined, and we all know a little local community nearby called Dorian. Right, we know it well. So a little bit of history about Dorian related directly to this Williams house, and this is where I'm such a weird nerd. There's a book that came out called Virginia's Tazewell County, A Last Great Place, by a guy named Ross Weeks Jr. It took me forever to find this freaking book, but finally I found it, and I've never found it anywhere else since.
Can I
So
see the cover?
I may have gotten the last copy. I don't know. And I'll hold this up. I don't know if you can see it with my screen here, but Dorian, this is on page 176. Dorian is named for Joseph I. Dorian, a lawyer for the Norfolk Western Railway Company who worked right there out of that house. He spearheaded the development in 1890 of an industrial community next door to Richlands, with where everyone thought it might become the Pittsburgh of the South. And around the Durant community were lucrative deposits of coal, iron ore, sand, limestone, and clay, all worth building a town close by. So basically what this guy did, even though he was a lawyer, he was a pseudo an architect.
Mhm.
And he literally went down there and looked along the banks and like, well, here, there could be a bridge here. He literally mapped out what the roads and the streets would look like to build Dorian. And that is exactly how it was mapped up and built today.
Huh.
That's
And
very
a lot of people, like, they don't know where their name of their town come from, but this come from a lawyer by the name of Joseph I. Dorian of that company that worked right there in the Williams House in our library back in 1890.
That's cool.
So much of it just kind of filters around. There's so much, like I said, so much rich history. Again, this is being a librarian. This is called Virginia's Tazewell County, A Last Great Place by Ross Weeks Jr. If you could ever find a copy of it, I'm
Thank
sure a
you
lot
for
of people around there
sharing.
would love to read about the history, how their towns got their names and so forth like that. There's all kinds of information in that book.
Yeah, I need to track that down if we don't already have it in the Virginia room at the library.
But yeah, it's funny how everything kind of sort of ties together with that one house. I don't want to sound like it's like Salem's Lot. Everything goes back to that one house. We are in Halloween month, right? So, but no, it's a great thing that you guys are doing. And I really cannot wait to see this project get kicked off and the building start and the renovations. Is there an estimated time frame on this?
There's not currently an estimated time frame. The first phase of the project is currently out to bid. So that's the outside, replacing the windows, making sure everything gets the fresh coat of paint. We had our pre-bid meeting last week and the bid deadline is this upcoming Thursday. So that's really exciting. Things are actually happening. Hopefully we should see movement on phase 1 soon. After that, it just depends.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
so today is October 6th. The Mad Hatter dinner is on the 15th. Is that correct?
Sure.
Correct.
All right. So everybody, if you're in the town of Richlands or anywhere in the vicinity, swing by, check out this old house, take some pictures, take a selfie. You want to. You're going to put it on Instagram.
And you definitely will have lots of photo opportunities. So before it gets a little too late and you don't want to be the rabbit who missed the date, you want to run into your local library branch and buy you up a ticket. That way you can come out and be a part of Wonderland. You can visit with the Mad Hatter, the Queen of Hearts, the Cheshire Rabbit, and Alice, of course. But also there will be a silent auction held within the Williams House, the Richlands Library. And we will have lots of local artisan paintings, pottery. We will also have donations that have been gifted from the community, from community businesses and community organizations. The Friends have a couple different lots. We'll be selling or hoping you bid on a collection of Hummel figurines, and to fit with the library theme, we're auctioning off a set of Shakespearean plates with the sonnets and poems of Shakespeare.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, so definitely check us out on Facebook. You can get your tickets through Eventbrite. We're plastered all over Facebook, but the easiest way is to get your tickets in person at your local library branch.
So what's the website if people can't make it and they just want to check out the website, maybe send a check or something? What do they do?
tcplweb.org, tcplweb.org. And right on the front page of our library website, we have a gorgeous little spotlight featuring the Richlands renovation project.
Okay.
And we have a convenient little PayPal link right there where people can donate directly to the foundation. It will go straight towards that project.
Well, that is excellent. And if anybody, if anybody wants to, that's making donations to our foundation, if you want to designate it toward this, we can write a check and forward it on to them. Make sure when you make a donation, you leave a comment so that we know and we can forward that on. And our website is always supportappalachia.org. And that's part of one of our missions, is not just to support organizations and efforts like what you're doing, but to bring light to it and paying things forward. If we get donations that we have a month in our coffers and people want us to make it to something else, or like our Operation Helping Hand that we just did or whatever, they let us know. We just use it as a conduit to pay forward. So keep that in mind if that's something you want us to do as well when you make your donation to us. I certainly appreciate your time, and I'm sure this is going to be a very fun event next week on Suffolk Avenue in Richlands. So make sure you go to tcplweb.org. That stands for Tazewell County Public Library web.org, and make a donation, buy a ticket, swing by, have a good time. It is Halloween month, so hey, when in Rome, right?
Perfect time to dress up. Yeah.
Absolutely. So everyone, thanks so much. I appreciate your time, and hopefully this goes off with a big bang next week. And let's try to get together again, maybe an update down the road sometime in the future. And anything else that the Friends of the Library is doing, let us know. We'd love to pass it along.
Good. Before we leave, can I just ask any of your viewers that want to check out our Tazewell County Public Library, they can do that on Facebook. And if they would like to see me or the Tazewell County Friends of the Library, you just type in TCPL FOL, and that will pop you right over to our page. Or you can go to the Tazewell County Public Library page, which has an offshoot to us.
Great.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And if you guys want to send me the links and my email on Facebook, I'll post it up on our Facebook page as well, so people can click over from there. And yeah, definitely keep us posted what's going on. We look forward to the next events, and good luck with this. It's going to be exciting. If you have any pictures when you're done, share them with us as well. And we'll put them maybe in our next newsletter we put out.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Amity. Thanks, Erica. Appreciate you guys showing up. And thanks everybody for listening to us. Appreciate you guys listening to us on your podcast, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast at, or viewing us here on YouTube. So we're going to be this interview will be on both. So thanks everyone, and we appreciate it, and we'll see you on down the road.